This has not been easy at all, guys. This whole process ended up taking 4 months. I mean, from start to finish. We're gonna show you everything that we learned during this process, all in this one little short video.
Welcome back to Back Road Driver, guys. Hey, this process was probably a lot harder for Sam in this case because we blew a motor up while we were trying to do this, but we're gonna show you everything that he went through.
I wouldn't advise that, guys. Quick recap, guys. This is how it went down. Got a Whipple on my 21 F150. We were putting headers on and we found out that I had a bad cylinder, so my motor's blown. Had to go get that fixed. Got the new motor in, have the headers on, and now we've been trying to figure out how to get rid of all those codes you get. We had one little gremlin that could have been anything because we pulled a motor, and we've been chasing that down for a few weeks now, and kind of this is where we're at this moment. A lot of you guys are trying to figure out how to put headers on a 21 and up F150 right now without the ability to tune out catalytic converter cells. I'm going to show you what I've done. I've tried a lot of things, guys, and so far this seems to be the only thing that's worked. So let's take a look. So as the truck sits right now, we've got 2M Fabrication long tube headers on this thing. And as you know, it comes with a Y-pop, and you can order that kit with or without their cats. I went ahead and ordered the cats, and I'm going to tell you that they're pretty much garbage. Yes, they are a stainless steel type material on the inside, so they are not ceramic, so you don't have to worry about that. But you know, they are very, very free flowing. They're only like a 200 cell count. And on this 21 F150 currently, there's no way to tune out O2 sensor issues. So those cats are basically the same as having a straight pipe in there. So what we've done is came in and put some Kooks Green Cats in the system. And right now we've taken out the defoulers altogether. So we're going to test this thing without defoulers with Kooks Green Cats and see where we stand and see if we need to add the defoulers back in. Now from this area back at the current moment, I have put the factory F150 exhaust back on because I couldn't take the noise until our Corsa exhaust shows up, because just having a small resonator from Vibrant on here and a straight pipe is way too loud for anybody to be driving around on a day-to-day basis, much less, you know, with older neighbors or anything in your neighborhood. So I've put this back on, and at this point, putting the factory exhaust back on was enough back pressure with defoulers to get rid of the codes. You're not going to want to drive a factory exhaust around for performance, so as soon as you go to something that's more free flowing, you're going to start to have problems again. So this setup that we currently have, we have some Jesse Kooks Green Cats on here with no defoulers, and we're going to go test this out and see if that fixes our issue at this point. So after installing cats and driving it around for a while, I am still throwing a few codes. I have put on some defoulers on the O2 sensors with the rear bank. We're going to see how that works with the catalytic converters on it now, and let's see what happens. All right, so defoulers work whether you have catalytic converters on your long tube header setup or if you've put in some nice cats. Now I highly recommend that you use some high quality cats. It's gonna make your truck not stink, and the high performance ones that are out these days by Jesse, a couple other brands, they're built to handle boost, and you got to find the ones that are built to handle boost. Don't just go throw a cheap catalytic converter on there. It's gonna melt down. You definitely don't want to have any of the ceramic type cats on your vehicle in a boosted application long term. If you're running a stock Whipple tune and you're running your stock cats, they've tested that, you're probably fine. O2 defoulers, I don't even, you know, some people call them other things. You're going to need defoulers on your truck with long tube headers, whether you put cats on or not. I've tried it both ways. Even with a very good high quality cat, I still needed a defouler. There is a certain catalytic converter by Jesse out there right now, and it's about $700-800 a piece Those are the only ones that I've heard of that might not need a defouler, but you might as well plan on needing them before too long, because as soon as that catalyst starts breaking down, that's a possibility in the future. So just know that without tuning, you're probably going to have to run defoulers in the beginning or at least down the road, no matter what you do. I'm not going to tell you where to go get defoulers, because every time they pop up on the internet now, they get moved. You can't find them anymore on a lot of sites that used to carry them. Because of the alphabet branch of the government that looks over catalytic converters, they are harder to find right now. I'm just going to say that. You might want to look at your local auto parts store, but they're not going to call them defoulers. They might say something about spark plugs, but I'll leave it at that. Guys, right now, I don't suggest that you put long tube headers or mess with the emission system on your 21 F-150 until there is tuning available that is open and readily available. And that doesn't include Whipple or Livernois or any of those, because they're not going to be able to help you with any emissions issues. So keep that in mind if you go down this road.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, the A to B gas card. Now, if you guys own a fleet, like say you're a lawn mowing business, if you're an over-the-road trucker, if you do car delivery and you long haul it across the country all the time, and you stop at fuel stations and you buy a lot in gas, if you go through the tolls, you got insurance on your whole fleet, your trucks, you're gonna wanna look up the A to B gas card. I'm gonna put a link to it right down here in the description. Guys, this is not a card that can only be used at like one brand of gas station. This can be used anywhere at any pump, and it's gonna save you money if you're a fleet owner or if you're in the business of buying a lot of fuel to be able to do your job. Now, I want to point out a detail. There's no monthly fee for this card like there are for a lot of like credit cards and reward programs, and you can also use it for parts. So if you have to do a lot of repairs to your trucks while you've got them out there on the road, this card will take care of that as well. A to B, check them out in the description after the video. And guys, we're very thankful that they sponsored this video. If you go down this road and you do decide to install headers, it sucks. So these are 2M Fabrication. They may not fit as good as like stainless works. That's what I've got on my truck. There is way more clearance on an F-150 than there is on a Mustang, they say, but I'm going to show you a few clips of some of the most hairy situations that we got into, because we actually right here in this garage installed the headers, but we found out we had the blown motor as we were going through that process. So we just removed them, took the truck down to Birmingham to TC Customs, got the new motor. When they put the new motor in, that's when the headers went on. But we actually did the work. It took way longer than we thought it would. It was way harder than we thought it would be, and it was way tighter to be able to get some of those bolts in. It's not about clearance for getting the headers up in there. It's for getting your dad blame ratchet on some of these bolts that are completely blocked. We had the motor jacked up like 4 inches. Everything, all the cross members undone. Like, it's a crappy process.
Number 1, 15 more to go. I can't even see the next one to go for.
How much money have you guys, I see a lot of new stuff laying around here. How much money have you all spent on this stuff you've bought to do this job?
We are right now up to, in tools to do the job, about as much money as it costs to pay somebody to do the job.
Well, why didn't you fellers just pay somebody to do the job?
Yep. So we got it back on there. Keep pushing hard. And we're spinning that dude ever so slightly. This whole stud's having to come out. You'll see the nuts spinning with it.
Couldn't tighten it down. So.
I think we got this one. And then the next one is going to be the devil.
It's behind the alternator. All right, we've been to the store. We upgraded. You know, a day doesn't go by that we don't drop a couple $100. It seems like with this project. We got another jack as well. We wanted to sturdy the truck up since we were lifting the engine. And, you know, who doesn't need a second 3-ton jack?
Still better. All right, guys, we got, you see that big hole right there? That was the motor mount bolt, and Sam is on the last couple of cranks of this head bolt that's back up behind the frame on top of the motor mount. This one's the one, guys. He has not said any cuss words this whole time.
Spin it off of my hand now.
It's off, ain't it? No. And this header, or this exhaust manifold's gonna come right down through here at me.
Hold it up there, man, so I can get this bolt.
There it went.
That's it.
It's off the studs. Coming down at me.
There you go.
Yeah, baby. Alright, hold
Your mother.
you. That is heavy.
Yes.
We have the motor jacked up about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. You can see that hole right now just goes to rubber, and then you can see the little flange right below it. If we lower the motor back down, that hole lines up. We can slide the motor bolt right back in there.
You gonna make it, Pie?
Yep.
Oh yeah. And now we just gotta line it up while we hit them on.
So Sam had an additional issue to deal with on top of the emission situation, and that is the fact that he had a new motor put in and that his Whipple tune was reflashed after that new motor went in. It was throwing a code for I guess a misfire, and it was kind of like a gremlin for him because he was dealing with that, but he was also dealing with some O2 codes, some O2 sensor codes. They weren't the same thing, but he was kind of putting them in as that they were the same thing. So he's trying to work on two things at once and thought that they were both emissions related. Gets the emission thing fixed, and he's only throwing the misfire code. And I mean, like, for a week, came down to the garage every day from Knoxville and like was up under the truck, seeing if there was any knocking, a place where like exhaust may be hitting the frame, like tried everything to try to figure this out.
Yeah, I mean, with emissions related codes, it can feel like it's running lean, so it can dump more fuel, or it could read the opposite and pull fuel, which can cause a misfire. So, you know, with the defoulers on, without cats and with cats, I've got rid of all of the emissions codes. But when I would go and put it in sport mode and really give it the sauce, I would get a misfire. And so I was attributing that to emissions related issues because, you know, that's what we're working on, right? I had tried switching the spark plugs out from different cylinders, switching the coil packs, you know, putting new on, all that kind of stuff. But went down that rabbit hole. But what it ended up being, guys, this is, if you're having misfires with a Whipple, check on your tuner. You've got profile relearn. Now this is under diagnostics, and you go to this profile relearn. With a lot of other tuners, this is like a crankshaft position sensor reset, that sort of thing. It just escaped me that what this actually was on here. Not really familiar with these things. I mean, it's my first Whipple, whatever. It's taking that crankshaft position sensor and making it relearn everything and making your motor in sync again, basically. Think of it that way.
You have an in-sync motor?
I've got an in-sync motor. So, since my motor was replaced and everything, and this tune was put back on, it just needed a profile relearn. So I've been chasing down a misfire code for weeks that I thought was related with emissions, but it wasn't. It was as simple as running this little relearn. Takes 10 seconds or whatever. Immediately, it's fixed all my issues. So,
Check that.
you know, if you're having a misfire, do that first, see how that works for you. Could have saved me a lot of
days,
a lot of
a
sweat.
week.
I mean, guys, I had the cheap cats on, took them off, and put, you know, the straight sections in just to see if that would help. I've tried multiple iterations of everything. Was afraid that I was just having too much flow and the computer couldn't adjust enough, so I put my factory exhaust on. I've got the exhaust I had on my truck off. We're going to compare it to what I'm going to be putting on, which is the old factory. As you can see, the factory muffler is ginormous. We also have a resonator. This is the only resonator that I had in this entire system, so that's why it's so loud right now. But we're gonna have to come in here, cut this off, and weld it back on over here to put this back on.
Which we're gonna let you hear with these headers and high flow cats here in just a second.
Putting my factory exhaust on actually made it to where I could drive this thing without scaring people as I drive by. I mean, it was obnoxiously loud, and I know it sounds good in the pickup video. Yes, it's really loud and it sounds really awesome like that, but I'm hearing it with you guys first time.
I'm gonna back up a little bit so we can hear this bald eagle fly.
You know, if you got neighbors, that's, you know, kind of
It's
frowned
over
upon.
the freaking top, man.
Yeah, it was
stupid loud. Let's go listen to it with stock exhaust. And then, guys, keep in mind, Corsa is sending Sam the new Corsa Extreme for the 2021 and up.
Yep.
F150, so it'll bolt right onto your 21 and up. It's going to sound awesome. It's going to be way louder than what you're about to hear. And that should be out. I mean, if you're watching this in the future, we'll put that video right in the end card and down in the description so you can check it out right away.
So yeah, that sounds pretty weak, guys. I mean, I know that sounds terrible compared to what we normally have on this channel. Even inside, it sounds kind of bad. It sounds like you are blowing over a straw, the end of a straw, you know, it makes that hollow whistle sound. It's just too much flow through that big factory muffler and everything. You are not going to want to leave your factory exhaust on if you're going to free up your emission system and with headers and everything. It's not going to sound good. You're going to want to do something different for sure. So you do have a few other options right now besides long tube headers. SPD Performance, I believe, makes some ported exhaust manifolds. And that'll hook back up to your factory catalytic converters and everything. You know, don't know how long that'll hold up with all that extra flow. At that point, you could take ported SPD headers and add a custom Y pipe, or you could also throw in some high flow cats at that point. That's going to be another setup that'll work for a lot of you guys. It's pretty popular right now. I think there's been some testing by some other YouTubers out there that show that those headers can make a lot of power. And you don't have some of the issues with long tubes. You just don't make as much top end power. You might find a set of shorty headers, and you know, you're going to still have to have that custom Y pipe and everything. Just don't make as much power as the other. So a lot of people say, you know, it's not worth the money and time and effort to put shorties on. If you're going to go to all that effort, you're going to want to go ahead and put on something that's going to make some power. I will say this, 2M Fabrication headers and their Y pipe, that complete package, I think is in the $600, $700, $800 range, depending on options and everything. That's going to be your best bet money-wise to put long tube headers on your truck right now. All the other options are going to cost about 3 times that much, and you know, kind of weigh that out when you're looking at doing this to your truck. So to sum all this up, if you're taking your 21 and up F150 and you want to put long tube headers on it, you can do it. You can run cats, you cannot run cats. You just have to run defoulers for sure, as far as I can tell at this point, because of custom tuning. If you're having misfire issues, but you don't have any emissions codes anymore, make sure you run that profile relearn on your Whipple tuner, on your Tomahawk device. That's going to get rid of some problems. If you read those instructions on your Tomahawk device, it's right there in black and white. I don't know why it took me 3 weeks to figure that out, but it did. And that's going to save you guys a whole lot of time if you're having those misfire issues after you've put long tube headers on it. We're going to get this Corsa exhaust on here real soon. It's going to sound nasty. We'll give you guys an update as soon as that happens. If that video's already out, it's going to be right here in the end card. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.